Cool. So the ultimate expression of Beaumont in a red wine is comes under the name of Vitruvian. And your first question to me will be, well, what the hell does Vitruvian mean? And I'll take you back to the history of the farm, which is connected to our watermill. And that was built 250 years ago. And the key part of that mill, or the milling system, was created and designed by a guy called Vitruvius way back in Roman times. And he basically reinvented Greek mills and turned them into more efficient Roman versions of them. He wrote a whole lot of books on engineering and weaponry and a whole lot of things. So he was a pretty fascinating designer. Vitruvius is the link to the name and the history of the name. Obviously our mill is running and producing amazing flour out there. It runs once a month, or when Andy Self can come down and do it. And I thought I wanted to connect this no rules kind of blend, which I've always had in my mind since 2004, where we're not prescribed to by other regions in the world or other blends in the world, but basically I use the concept of really great blends, whether it be from Bordeaux or from Southern Rhone or Australia or California or South Africa. There's some kind of key elements that go into making a great blend, and I try to capture that with the Vitruvian. It's also the wine is also linked to Da Vinci's drawing, or the name of the wine. So it's known as the Vitruvian Man, which is the drawing that Da Vinci did of the guy standing prone. And it's all about balance and proportion of the human body. And obviously when you make a blend out of 5 or 6 different grape varieties, you're trying to find that ultimate balance of proportion or ratio between the varietals to get them to express the individual parts, but to be able to put them all into one complete expression of site and of regional character in a blend. So I think Vitruvian kind of gets that, and I've kind of enhanced that process by fermenting the grapes together, so doing a pick on one day and co-fermenting them, and that allows me to make the blend really early on during the fermentation process. So I choose a day in the harvest where I think that the Mourvèdre, the Pinotage, the Syrah, the Cabernet Franc, and occasionally some of the Petit Verdot or Malbec or Tinta Barocca that goes into it is ready to be picked. And I'll go in and pick all the varietals together in their ratio of what I think will work, which is normally at least 40% Mourvèdre, followed by Pinotage and Syrah with a dash of Cabernet Franc for aromatic lift, and then a splash of the others to just bring a bit more dimension and complexity to the blend. So it's a fascinating wine as a winemaker to make, and I think being part of a family wine business allows you to be creative, be expressive, and do the things that you dream of. And that's what I've tried to capture in this wine. So this is Vitruvian. You'll find that the current vintage is 2015, and that is because I keep it in barrel for about 24 to 36 months. I then keep it in bottle for at least a year to a year and a half, sometimes 2 years, depending on the vintage. And we don't always release every vintage, so I'm very strict on what I want to release and whether I think that the wine captures the essence of what I'm trying to create, which is really not to illustrate a single varietal. It's really to create a very harmonious, textured, complex, but elegant red blend that captures the essence of this farm. So it's very important for me to make Vitruvian, to have the freedom to do it in the way that I want to, and but ultimately to be absolutely decisive on whether I release the vintage or not. So you'll find some gaps. If you think that you've missed a vintage, you can always write to me and say, hey, where's this vintage? But I'll either tell you I haven't released it, or you just missed out and there's nothing left. So it's 2,500 bottles a year, depending on the vintage. So tiny production and something to look out for, to put in your cellar, to drink now, It's normally quite ready to drink, but it can also mature. I know that the 2006, which is my first vintage, is drinking beautifully now in 2020, so that's 14 years down the line. You can age them, but you can drink them when you get them. All right, enjoy the Vitruvian. Cheers.